Hi everyone, Lena, and I apologize for the delay. So first of all, I'm not in the best place in terms of my mental health. I'm getting help, and I've started my medication yesterday. So I hope I will recover soon. But the other problem was that I recorded the video and the audio was corrupted, so I had to re-record the thing. So here we are. So this time I wanted to share my story and like me and finally realizing who I am, etc. My like not coming out, I'm openly trans, etc. But just my past, um, my life, and I do this because I want this information to be out there. When I was at the beginning of my path, I didn't have those kind of videos, so I just making those videos that I wanted to have when I was there. So if you have someone who might need this information, just either as another perspective, or just like I will try to give a few advice, not on top of just telling my story. So if you have anyone that you think can really use this kind of video, please share it with them. I'm not asking for like subscribe, comment kind of thing. You know all that on YouTube, right? But I'm asking for like a word of mouth. So if you know someone who you think can benefit from this kind of video, I will be very happy if you shared it with them. So I will start at the very beginning, my childhood. So we'll do it in parts. Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So part 1, childhood. So I realized that something is off when I was around 11, 12, like when I hit puberty. Before that, I didn't care who I was, what my name was, what my gender was at all. Like I distinctly remember it. I didn't even care about my looks. I wouldn't even comb my hair. So I would come to school and my hair would like go up. And I got a nickname called a nickname palm tree. And I wasn't even offended. I didn't care at all. So in my childhood, it wasn't important to me at all. When it became important, I realized that something is not like everyone tells you it should be. My first dream, that kind of dream, was about two girls. Well, I was one of them. And from there, I started thinking about it more and more. But it was more like a dream. So if you are cis, you're watching this video, you're cisgender, or if you're like having doubts yourself, right now, I obviously can tell that I knew that I was a woman from the very beginning. But back then, it didn't feel like this. So the best, like, way to interpret this, the best point of reference I can give you is it felt like dreaming about having a superpower. So it would be nice to be able to fly. It would be nice to be able to go invisible. It would be nice to be able to go really fast. It would be nice to be very strong and like immune to diseases, etc. It would be nice to wake up a girl one day, right? So this is how it felt. This is why I never paid any attention to it really outside of just dreaming about it. Because I didn't know anything about trans people at all. It was 2000, what, like 4, 5? A small town, third world country, no internet, almost no internet. So I knew gay people existed. I also knew cross-dressing existed. That's it. I didn't even know drag queens were a thing, let alone trans people. Come on. So back then, I was just thinking about it. Like, it would have been nice. But I guess it's not the case. And that's it. So I just shoved those feelings back, and I was only like dreaming about it as being a night elf. I'm not gonna go into details of how important video games are in my life, but in 2003, maybe even 2, when it was released, I saw over the shoulder someone playing Warcraft 3, and with this giant tree waving its arms, and then the little wisp will come out of the tree and go to a nearby tree and start swirling around. And this was so magical, and this aesthetic, which I call the Ori and the Blind Forest aesthetic, I think Blizzard nailed it at the first try, and I was so like at the first time they did it, I was so drawn towards it. And the other thing that in Warcraft 3 there was the story part that I don't even remember all that precisely, but I remember my feeling about it. That in the story it was mentioned somewhere that it was mostly the culture of female warriors, because the males, like the guys, were all like druids, or they were in the slumber at the moment, and the girls were protecting them. So it felt like night elves were mostly girls, like Amazons, and they were all warriors. It attracted me so much. And like another thing you need to know about night elves, if you've never heard of it, night elves are very tall. They're like average 7 feet tall, like above 2 meters tall. So I just connected with night elves and with this idea, and between this and the fact that my first dream was about two girls and I was one of them, that should have been a dead giveaway that I'm a lesbian. But it took quite a while for me to figure that out. Okay, so that's a story for another day. I was dreaming of that. And another thing, that this is why I never had height dysphoria. I'm 6'1", and I never had any height dysphoria whatsoever. Because of that, like night elves always look at people like this because they're that tall. So never had problems with height from like as far as I can remember, always was proud to be very tall and never thought it would make me less of a woman. But that is pretty much it for the childhood. Then I shoved this feeling down, and I was only like driven by fear of not graduating, not getting to the university, which I did, and I went to a different city to get to the university, and that will be part 2. So I arrived at the dorm to the dorm room and like the campus of the university where I was, and that was the room 4 by 4 meters. So basically, like it was a 9 by 9 feet, and there was 3 of us in this room, me and 2 other people, and obviously there cannot be any idea of any kind of privacy in this type of space, right? There were 2 double bunk beds. One bunk was obviously empty, and that was it. Like, what kind of privacy can you even dream of? But I got better internet connection, so from there, using the internet and using, well, porn, I figured out that trans people exist. But it was still like absolutely no privacy, and it still felt like a dream. So I decided not to think about it. Like, don't worry about it. And I was just, again, driven by fear, and I was mostly worrying about not getting expelled or kicked out, and getting my grades up and getting the degree, which I did. I got the bachelor's in cultural studies, and back then I thought that it was a stupid degree that will never help me get a job, any job. Nowadays, I realize, as a recruiter, you can trust me, the degree doesn't really matter. Like, the university does, but the degree, not so much. Obviously, if we're talking about like Ivy League, yes, if you have a law diploma, you probably shouldn't apply to financial sector jobs. But outside of that, for most of us, for me, in my case included, I had a diploma that proved that I survived those 4 years, and that is more important than what kind of diploma it is, whether it's logistics, whether it's social studies, gender studies, cultural studies, philosophy, who cares, really? But back then I didn't know that. I was very stressed about not getting a job at all. So I did the smartest thing to do. Actually, like, I think it comes back full circle. Back then I thought it was a stupid thing to do, but I felt like I was pressured to do that. Right now I understand it wasn't the worst thing to do, but I went on to get my master's. I just only used those 2 years of master's to butt myself some time. Didn't really work, but I get the master's, which I don't regret. I don't regret getting the cultural studies education in general. I'm gonna use it and utilize it for the future videos, by the way. For now, I graduated those 6 years, and I will include another part here to the university, like my first job. I did find a job half a year later. My friend recommended me a place, and I went there as an assistant, and that started my career. And I was still driven by fears. That's why I included this into this chapter. I was still driven by fears that I will just like lose the job or not get any promotions whatsoever because I wasn't entry-level position and it wasn't paid much at all. But I did eventually get a few raises to get to a reasonable level of salary, and eventually the fears just like it was nothing left to fear, right? I saved up a little bit of money. And the thing you need to know about me is that I have like a loose screw in my head that I just feel almost physical pain when I spend money. Any money at all. Like whenever I want to spend money on whatever it is, a little thought crawls up from the back of my skull and tells me, like, do you really need that? Can you do without it? You probably can. So do you even need to spend money on? No, you don't. And that's how it is. I have to fight this thing every time I go to the groceries to buy me some food. That's how bad it is. But that had an upside that I managed to save a lot of money and using this. This is why, another, like, by the way, was one of the reasons why I managed to lose weight, because I was just this thought will crawl up like, do you need to spend money on food? Do you really? You'll get just even more fat. And I was a little bit of a little bit overweight, so maybe you'll just save money on food and there will be a win-win. You lose weight and you will not lose money. Nice. And this is not how you should do it. Don't try this at home, kind of advice. Never try this at home. But this little thought, it crawled up and said, do you even know what hunger is? No, you don't. Let's find out. And I just stopped eating for like 2 full days. And then I tried to eat as little as possible. Don't do that. Do not do that. But this was important to me. It helped me realize that I can change things about my life. It felt like because I tried it so many times, I did so many attempts to lose weight and none of them worked. I was a bit overweight. I was like 185 centimeters, 95 kilograms, like 90 to 95 kilograms. That is a bit over what I was comfortable with. So I went down to 75, which I was comfortable with. I was 90 to 95 and I went down to 70. And it proved to me that I can change things about my life. But only then did the fears go away. And when the fears went away, I realized that I don't want anything. Like, I later heard this phrase when everything in your life tastes like ash. There was a person in deep depression, they shared it with me. Everything tastes like ash. You don't care. It's not like about being suicidal, it's more about you don't care at all. Complete apathy. And this is how my next chapter begins. Like, let's say realization. There will be chapter 3. Here I was, 26 years old. It was on my birthday. I decided to take a vacation on my birthday, but this little thought wouldn't allow me to spend money on my vacation, so I was just at home. And I woke up and I realized that the only thing I want to do is to go back to sleep. That's the only thing I want to do. I had money. I had the place where I lived. My mom was with me, as in, like, supported me in my career and anything. I had friends. I didn't have a relationship, but it didn't bother me all that much. And I realized I don't want anything. And this was the turning point. I realized that I want to live. And then I picked up the phone, called up a clinic that I was recommended by a colleague, and told them, like, I think I actually nailed the diagnosis without any research, that I have like a gender dysfunction or something. I said something about my gender. And they told me, like, a woman on the phone, she told me, like, oh, we have 2 people that work with that kind of, in that kind of field, so you can choose one. And I chose one of the 2 shrinks, and then I went, and I got very lucky. She was very experienced in the field. She was very supportive and understanding, never misgendered me, never anything, but was very professional. She wasn't just like, oh, you poor thing, of course you need help. No, she was very professional and strict about it, because I came with a question like, who am I? What am I? Is it real what I feel? Or what is real? Israel. Yeah, sorry, I cannot turn off stupid puns in my head. Another, like, I have a few loose screws. I just recently found out that I have both OCD and ADHD. I was never diagnosed for 30 years of my life. That was fun, living without knowing that. And I have like quite severe OCD. But that's not the point. The point is that I came to her with the question and I wanted to figure out what is going on. And she helped me. She mostly guided me to find the answer myself. And by the end of it, every day we worked together was 10 sessions, so like once a week, so it was over 3 months, every week. And more I went there, fewer hesitations and doubts I had that, yeah, I am a woman. It just so happened to be this way. So I finished our, like, she told me that it will require most likely 10 sessions, maybe more, but we'll see. And it did require like 9 or 10. The 10th one was just to wrap up. And from there, I decided to go on and actually start transitioning. I realized who I am, I realized what I need to do. I was full of hopes and dreams, and I was very optimistic, and I had a lot of strength to do that. And I decided to start my transition. So the first thing I did as I went in to start laser hair removal, that's one upside of sitting in the closet and sitting on a lot of money, not a lot of money, but some money, that you have enough to spare. So I had enough to do I had enough for the whole transition up until the surgery, because I was saving. My salary wasn't that high, but I was saving most of it, almost 100% of it. I would spend very little. This is not healthy. Don't do this at home. Don't repeat after me. So I started laser hair removal, and I started growing my hair out, and I started wearing more turtlenecks. Those three things by themselves made it so people stopped recognizing me. Anytime I would meet a person that I haven't met for like 3 or 4 months, maybe for half a year, due to the nature of my job, I was on assignments a lot, and I was visiting other cities and towns. And when I would go back to like a big whole company kind of getaway, a retreat, I would meet people I haven't seen in half a year or a year. They would tell me, like, who are you? We don't recognize you. Are you like Benjamin Button? Why are you aging backwards? Just three things: growing hair out, laser hair removal, and turtlenecks. Just those three things. And it gave me even more hope that the change is really possible. So I did that, and I also went and started the thing with the legal transition. So in my country, how it went was that you need to go to a specific clinic, to a psychiatrist and a whole team of professionals, and eventually, on a specific under specific circumstances, they will give you this kind of paper that proves, that says like, yes, you are transgender, you are eligible to legal name change, basically. And in the process, you will also start the hormones. So this is what I was hoping for. I did some research, but that was mistake number one. Don't do this mistake that I did. I just did a little bit of Google search, and then like about my city, and then I went on with it. That was a mistake. You need to look up your local communities, whether like overall like trans community, and ask for questions about your specific place where you live. So if it's, whether it's Reddit, Discord, any other type of online community, whether it's an offline community you can find, there are a lot of like LGBTQ plus safe spaces. Unless your country is openly against LGBTQ plus, then there will not be open spaces. Like it will be hard to find information about them. But those spaces and communities exist, and going there and like just listening to other people's perspective would have helped me not to make a mistake. And the mistake was the following: I really wanted to jump from being completely hidden, from not telling anyone, straight to stealth, to passing as a woman. And I almost kind of even pulled it off, but I didn't do it for the doctors. And it turns out that in my country, you needed a show for the doctors, for them to believe you. Because oh my, how much pain and suffering did I endure on all of those kind of sessions and appointments with psychiatrists and other psychiatry related specialists. For the most part, they were just making fun of me. They were just humiliating me, but keeping the medical professional facade. Like, oh yeah, like you have a bipolar disorder that we diagnosed after 40 minutes of talking to you. But we are like convinced you have bipolar disorder, and basically you're just a stupid boy who is confused. That's it. That's who you are. Definitely not a woman. Like, we've seen so many trans people before you. Maybe you're androgynous, but you're not a woman. Like, clearly, dude, you're an idiot. Like this was the feeling I was getting from them. Because regardless of who I was, regardless of what I was confused or not, I go there and I pay them, none of that was covered by any kind of insurance, to get help. And I got none. I got no help or empathy or compassion or anything. It was just, it was very painful. So I could have spared this pain if I knew that I need to put on a show before those doctors. To go in the full girl mode and to play a very depressed and sad individual, because my optimism and my vigor put them off so badly they were ready to call me whatever it is, but not a trans person. Because a trans person, before they transition, at the beginning of the transition, in their eyes, needs to be miserable and depressed. If they're not trans. That's simple. So eventually I managed to find a doctor who, well, she did also diagnose me with bipolar disorder, but she said that, well, you might be trans as well. Those two things, if not related, yeah, we will give you that paper and we'll give you an appointment with an endocrinologist and you will get the your hormones and all. So it took me half a year of being observed by her and the team of professionals, and it siphoned a lot of money out of me, but some of it was free. To her credit, and she was the head of the clinic, to her credit and the credit of the clinic, she made as much of it free as possible, because in how I feel about it, she did wanted to help me. One of the few people that actually wanted to help me, not just wanted to make money out of me. So when I eventually found the person that actually believed in me, despite the bipolar disorder that she diagnosed me with, she eventually helped me out with my transition, with everything. And I think the next part is after I got the papers, so the surgeries, so I'll make it into a new part, right? So this was just my 2019. It started with a lot of pain and misery. And by the way, none of them cared that I've spent 3 months, and by that point it was already 4, 5, 6 months in therapy about discovering my gender. No, it wasn't with me, the psychiatrist here in this room, so I don't care. That how it was, despite me having all the records and everything. No, not important. So to avoid those kind of mistakes, the only way to know what to do and to avoid those kind of mistakes is to reach out to local communities and ask other people about their experiences, and they will be able to help you avoid, navigate the minefield and avoid the rakes bleeding you in the face with those kind of mistakes. So it's not as painful, because it's already, transitioning is painful as it is. You don't need more. So reach out to communities that you're not alone. You're never alone. Never alone. So reach out to other people anonymously, online, but ask them how it was for them. And I'm quite certain it will help. My plan was to jump from being hidden, only 2 people knew and my mom knew, straight to stealth, as in to pass. The reason why I believe I could pull it off is because by that point it was already 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't remember, many years that I was interested in voice acting. I don't have any jobs that I landed as a voice actress, but I was practicing a lot because it was fun. It's still fun. I love doing it. So I did have a different kind of voice, not the one you hear right now, but it was a stepping stone. It was more of a it was softer, quieter voice. This it was a bit what you call sultry, and more whispery, but it did feel safe to use it, and it felt like I could pass with it. And by the way, the reason I was using that voice is I felt like I nailed the character. That's I've been playing Dota my whole life, and this is the character from Dota 2. Name is Templar Assassin, Lanaya, and she goes like this: when a hidden one send me, I go not question. I do not even question why, question not. And I felt like I could do a reasonable job impersonating the impression of Lanaya. And spoiler alert, this is not the best voice to pass. It is good, it does the job, and I will make a separate video on voice in general as a concept. But even though it works, it can be better. but this is the story again for another day, for another video. So the voice was there, and I thought like with the wardrobe properly selected and properly chosen, and this is my first video, you know that. With that in place and the surgery, the facial surgery, which I did have money for, and the voice, I should be able to pass, right? What else is left? Should be straightforward enough. So I only needed like hormones. And by the way, I didn't believe hormones would do anything to me because I thought that hormones only work when you started before puberty or like before 18 at least. So as a 26 at this point, already 27-year-old, I thought that hormones would do absolutely nothing to me. Spoiler alert, I was completely wrong. They do a lot. Again, it's you can see it better in my first video, but I didn't rely on hormones at all. So I was hoping for the surgery, for like relying on my voice and on my wardrobe, like on my clothes. So that psychiatrist that believed in me, she also shared the contact of a surgeon, and I wanna share the name of the surgeon with you. A, because I love and respect her so much, and B, because I promised her that if I get a chance, I would do that. And C, because you've probably already heard of it if you know who Sophie from Mars is. Sophie from Mars recently released a video about her surgery and the doctor she went with, and the doctor is Dr. Sluzky, Anna Sluzky, and that I guess that's the official way to address someone in English by the title, like the degree or whatever, like Dr. Sluzky. I know her as Anna Vadimovna. Okay, so Anna Sluzky, and Anna Vadimovna was the person that I went to for the surgery, and she immediately, like off the bat, because she specializes in facial feminization surgery, she off the bat told me like, yes, your face looks androgynous, but the switch will be the chin and the nose. So we will do that. And I said, lovely. I want that. Let's do it. So the day of the surgery came. I fell asleep with a mask on and all, like full anesthesia, and I got allergic reaction to anesthesia, to full body anesthesia. It took me another 3 months to figure out which drug in the cocktail precisely was it, so we could find a replacement. And I did the surgery at the very beginning of March 2020. And you know what happened in 2020, right? I was very happy and very lucky with the timing. So I didn't even notice COVID at first because I went home. The next day, the whole country was shut down and locked down. And I was at home chilling, recovering from my surgery. Even though it took less than 3 months, I still took more than that, like just as a precaution. After that, I changed my documents. It was pretty smooth after the surgery. Most people would react to like, oh, yeah, you definitely need the like I was passing already with the surgery and with the voice, so you definitely need the the gender marker change in the passport. So I changed the documents and I went on to do the bottom surgery. And again, I was very lucky. I got a recommendation about the surgeon, and he did a lot of surgeries like this, the bottom surgeries. So I went to see him, to the consultation. He said like there are 1 to 3 options, and I said like 3 is way too invasive, 2 is, and 1, I guess 1. And that's what I'm not gonna go into details. So like what you need to know about me is that when I am very excited about something, I don't really notice all the negatives, all the downsides. I don't feel discomfort really. I mean, I feel it in the moment, but I don't remember it. So that is how the surgeries were for me. The moment I got the surgery, the first one, the second one, I never felt like anything bad is going on, and it was just a small nuisance, like the pain after the surgery, whatever. I mean, I cannot say that I don't remember any pain. Like after my facial surgery, I remember a little bit of pain. I remember a small episode of a lot of pain. Let's put it this way. I remember one night I couldn't fall asleep because my face hurt, and I had to go and get a very strong painkiller that you need a full stock, like what you need a prescription for. And Dr. Sluzky, she supplied me with like a full stock in case you need it. And I tried to not to use them at all, so I only used 2 pills. I took the painkiller, and in 5 minutes I fell asleep. But outside of that, I don't remember any pain. All I remember is like anecdotal evidence, you can say. My mom shared a story where after the bottom surgery, you're advised first of all you have to stay in bed for a week without moving at all on your back, but then you're advised not to sit. You can lay down, you can stand, but you're advised not to sit. But me and my mom decided that, and we consulted with a doctor, that going for a walk would be a decent idea. So, like, I went home. I spent a week in the clinic. I went home, and maybe like 4 5 days later, me and my mom decided to have a small walk, just around the neighborhood, to get some ice cream or whatever. I don't remember what it was allowed for me in terms of diet, but whatever. And I remember I was just walking slowly. I remember it was all fine, and I was taking my time. I was relaxing. And my mom later shared with me that I walked like a duck, like this, because like everything down there was swollen. I don't even remember it. And by the way, the context of Dr. Sluzky, she is in Israel right now, and she does surgeries in Yerevan, right, in Armenia. But you can learn more from Sophie from Mars's video. I will just leave the contacts, and once again, I'm very grateful and very happy that I met her, and I just I want her to have as many clients as possible. I want to like recommend her as much as I can. So I wanted to tell you about my mom, and this is one of the luckiest things in my life. I mean, I was lucky to meet my English teacher, and this is not just like that she taught all of English that I know to me. She inspired me to keep learning. And I was very lucky to meet the first shrink that I worked with. I was very lucky to meet the psychiatrist who also recommended me Dr. Sluzky, and I was very lucky to meet her, and the other doctor that did the bottom surgery. But the luckiest part is that I always knew that my mom, no matter what, loves me and will never stop loving me no matter what. So I knew that this is her core, inseparable, essential value, that she loves me. She didn't accept me right away. She went through all 5 stages of grief, which is like, I don't remember the name of the fourth stage, but you get the idea, right? Denial, anger, bargaining, then the one where you just cry a lot, and then acceptance. She didn't start with acceptance. There was a lot of anger, a lot of bargaining. At first there was a lot of denial, and only then it was acceptance. I decided to push through. I decided to talk with her until we understand each other. There was a lot of effort from both of us. We fought so much. We would start late in the evening, or maybe even not that late in the evening, and it will be like 5 a.m. at the break of dawn. Both of us in tears, taking turns screaming at each other, but we won't go to sleep. We will keep on talking, or just sitting silent in front of each other, but we were not giving up on each other. She wasn't giving up on me, and I wasn't giving up on her. If I didn't do that, she would have not accepted me, and at this point, most likely, we would have been like strangers to each other. But I knew, and again, this is the pinnacle of my luck, without without irony, literally, that my mom, no matter what, loves me, and her support, because she was by my side after every surgery, after everything. Her support is what gave me the strength to pull through and do everything that I did, especially as fast as I wanted to do it, because I would have not had enough without her. But to get there, we fought so much, and I just knew that she would never give up on me, and she would always love me. And this is why I went for it. This is why I decided to take the fight. The battle for our future, like our relationship, me and my mom, the parent and the child. And we got there. I'm pretty sure that not as many people as lucky as I am, not that many people as lucky as I am. But I just wanted to share, and I feel it's important because she didn't accept me right off the bat. Right as when I came out that evening, she didn't accept me back then. It took her a few years, and all of those years we were fighting. Like, and I also, like, I decided to give her some space. We were talking daily before that, and then I took half a year. It was the first half of 2019. We were not talking all that much, And then I decided to continue talking to her until we understood each other. I fought through all of her misunderstandings, misconceptions, through all of her transphobia, but I knew it was possible. I knew that she wouldn't back down. And that is the reason I'm sitting in front of you here. I do not know what would have happened if it wasn't like this. And I guess that's the last thing I want to talk. That I read it online quite often that people say like, I will never be able to experience a childhood as a girl. Well, that is true. If you transition later, you won't. Like I didn't. But in my case, I'm not saying about anyone else, but in my case, would I go back and if I could go back in time and change something, would I? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. I started when I was 26, so it would stands to reason that I would want to go back before puberty and get like puberty blockers, but I do not know how it would have ended up, how I would have ended up. Would it be better or would it be for the worse? Because in my story, what is important to understand, like I had chipped teeth. I fell down flat on my face when I was 6 years old, so I had chipped frontal teeth, both of them, and I had like a triangle hole in them, which made me very insecure about my smile. And I only fixed it after 4 years of wearing bracers when I was getting my bachelor's degree. While I was getting my bachelor's degree. So would I be happy to transition before I fixed my smile? I do not know. Would I be happy to transition before I lost that extra weight that I lost? I do not know. Would I be that confident in transitioning if I didn't have the money saved in my job? And like I was very lucky with the place, even though it was not the most the best place to work in terms of salary. They were and still are very LGBTQ plus friendly, and they accepted me. Would I have been able to do it if I was working any other job? I do not know. It happened for me when it happened for me. I do not know if it was possible to happen sooner. And truth be told, I don't want to know. Even if I could, I wouldn't want to know. So here I am. I left the country that I was in, but luckily I did change everything that I wanted to change about my life, like the documents, etc., and the surgeries, in time. So here I am making this video, and again, I'm making this video to give you another perspective. Everyone's experience is different, and it might be quite depressing to see how other transition and don't see that you fall into the same like pattern and feel like you don't belong or feel like a fraud or feel like an imposter, that you're not who you think you are, you're just delusional. So I just wanted to add one more. So this is just one more perspective, and if you sat with me through the entire video, I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. But this is just another perspective, my perspective, in case you need it. It will always be here on YouTube. Alright, that was it for the video. It turned out longer than I thought, even after I tried to pick up the pace. The first draft and the version of it was an hour long. I again did changes to the setup. I hope it's better now. But at this point, again, with aforementioned OCD, if you are knowledgeable in this sphere of, making videos and cameras, etc., and equipment, please let me know if I can do better with my setup, with my camera. I have Logitech C920, a very budget webcam, and I tried every trick in the book. That's one of the reasons why it took so long, because I was pushing myself and telling myself like I owe the viewers better quality. So if you know, please tell me whether I can improve and I just making mistakes in terms of setup, or it is like the best quality that this webcam can provide, and like I will finally calm myself and stop worrying about it. But anyway, thank you so much once again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.